What is service design is one of my favorite and probably the most asked question. But I rather talk design thinking rather than service design. The way you think, where you act, how you approach things, it's a human-centered thinking. Service design is a set of tools and methods how you implement or apply that design thinking. The whole business is changing dramatically. What the retail business is going through at the moment, what media business is going through at the moment. So financial business will go through that in a year or two. The biggest driver for that change is the customer behavior. And that means that the whole financial institutions need to change the way they do their business, how they serve their customers, how they approach the whole business and customer experience. Currently we have 3 different business lines: banking, wealth management and insurance, and the 4th line will be health business. When we look at from the customer perspective, a lot of the solutions that we are providing are actually overlapping all of these 4 business areas. One of the themes that we are working on is safety. And when you think about safety in our company, you might get an equal mark to insurance. So you have certain insurance to be safe. But when you think about a person and safety, that's a feeling. So how do we give that feeling to our customers that when you are our customer, you are safe? It might be that your identity is safe, or your phone has certain safety features, or your computer has virus detection and all of that. So it's much wider aspect than just a product or service. Obviously, you need to have products or services to provide certain solution, but as designers, we are looking at all of those possibilities and needs that people have.
We got a new CEO. He said, our vision from now on is that we want to be number 1 in customer experience. I think a lot of the people in the organization looked at each other and said, okay, what is that? And how do we get there? In Danske Bank, we talk very much about how the customer sees the world or interact with a brand from an end-to-end perspective. You can look at it really detailed, saying from a specific user experience, but you can also look at it on a life event kind of thing. So getting a divorce or moving out or something like that. Me and some other people from the bank started up a pilot project where we wanted to take one key process, and that was when you become a new customer, and say, okay, how can we actually make a better customer experience with involving our customers. The difference between what we did before and what we do now. We were focusing on our customers, but we applied our own opinions and thoughts and assumptions, and then we actually just developed solutions. And then you have a tendency to use a lot of resources and money and so forth, where you actually learn and discover that this was not what the customers actually wanted. So we learn from our customers throughout the design phase, and I think that is the major difference between what we do now and what we did before.
Service design is creating a more enriching product or service at the very end, because you have been looking at it more holistically from the very beginning. The Copenhagen municipality wants to make sure that they are creating satisfied solutions and services to their citizens. And also, how can we actually involve companies from the private sector to also find more innovative products and services? And how can we find more efficient solutions as well? So one case was, how do we design the future hospital? They invited the patient, the doctor, nurses, and people who are carrying them around. And then they asked the patient to decorate the room. They would put in sofas and things that would make it cozy and homely. And then they asked the people carrying it around, what would you do? They would quickly take everything out so there was room enough. And then they asked the doctors and the nurses, and they said, we want to spend time with the patient. We don't want to run out in the hallway to find things. So they took things in again. And in this way, you create empathy from each other's viewpoints, and you think of design in a holistic way. That is, in itself, is a big step forward. It's very much understanding and talking together. It's very basic, actually, but yet difficult to do.
The collaboration of the Nordic Service Design Network has emerged over the last few years, and I've been reflecting a lot, like what is it that makes this region feel special? And I think collaborating and working together across boundaries has a different ground here. There is a different open-mindedness. People speak English at a young age. That brings an openness, that brings an idea that we are not the center of the world. I mean, as small countries, there has always been a sense we need to collaborate, we need to be open. And I think that is a very helpful condition to work like that. It makes it easier to connect. The ambition for quality of life and caring for family, caring for not just work, brings a different balance and a different groundedness that is very helpful for the idea of service design.
One of many issues, I think, for healthcare is to get closer to the patients and involve patients in both the delivery of healthcare, but also improvement and innovation of healthcare. The brief that we had from the county council was that they wanted to better understand what they call the patient coordination process. That means from when an accident happened to when the patient is back home, that whole process. It's both most dangerous for the patient in all these transition points, and also there where we lose communication, information and money. So the project was about 28 people role-playing patient journeys. It was a diverse group of nurses and doctors from the highest to the lowest in the hierarchy. We gave them different roles, someone playing the patient, someone filming it, someone interviewing both the one that played the patient but also the receiving staff. And then we had the workshops in between and created different solutions. It transformed the thinking of these 28 people forever.
It's a very interesting time for services in healthcare because the digital technology is a state now where we actually can do with healthcare what we did to media 20 years ago. It's really a privilege to be a patient or citizen in a society like the Danish or in the Scandinavian country. We have invested a lot in a welfare state that benefits most of us. We have done that in order to create an equal society, in order to take care of each other. During that process, we have learned more and more, and we have professionalized how to take care and how to organize healthcare. And we have started creating these very deep silos of knowledge within different fields, but at a certain point, it's very hard to communicate across the silos.
I think what we see in many organizations is that working across silos is a real challenge because the incentive systems and the way things are organized are still stuck in those structures.
Now, especially due to big data and digital technology, we can start imagining how a new healthcare system would look like. In order to leave the silo, we should start with the experience of a person.
By 2012, we ran more than 200 different improvement projects. One of the key problems in insurance, our terms and conditions were becoming more and more difficult to understand, even for us. And we wanted to do something about that. We said that we wanted to be customer-centric, and one place to start is to start with making sure that your customers understand what they buy. Through service design, we rewrote our terms and conditions and brought them down to 1 page per product. And we prototyped it several times with customers, making sure that the customers really understood.